Okay, so here's a question that has its own video. Now, that must mean this question's a little complicated. So it is. We've got to draw a figure here, and then we've got to interpret our drawing and figure out what the measures of the angles are. So let's just get started. We're told that line AB is perpendicular to line XY, and further that they intersect at point M. So let's go ahead and draw that part. And it's perfectly okay to just draw it as we go along. So let's call this line AB. Put a point A there, a point B over there. And it's perpendicular to XY. So since we've drawn this one horizontal, XY must be a vertical line. Notice, I don't really need to use a ruler to do this. This is an illustration. It's a sketch. It's okay to draw this just using freehand. So we've got line XY, and I've just chosen to put X and Y on opposite sides of the intersection, which is point M. Okay, good. Now, MC bisects line MC. Okay, careful. We have to always include the icon on top. Line MC bisects angle AMY. So what is angle AMY? A is here, Y is here, M is here. So AMY is this angle. We forgot to put right angles, right? Everything is right angles here. These lines are perpendicular, so let's make sure we have put right angles on everything before we draw anything further. Okay, now MC bisects AMY. So we've got to draw an angle bisector of this right angle. So let's try to draw it so it goes pretty much divides the right angle into two equal angles. So if the right angle is 90 degrees, then what are these small angles going to be? They're each going to be 45 degrees, right? And MC bisects AMY, so we will draw the C there. So what we've got so far is we've got two perpendicular lines with 4 right angles at each intersection, and then we've got a angle bisector, line MC. Okay, so it's a line. I got to draw it extending in this direction as well. It's bisecting AMY into two angles, each of which are 45 degrees, and we're calling it line MC. D is in the interior, we're just going to continue to read, of angle AMX. Where is AMX? This quadrant, AMX over here. So D is somewhere in the interior of it, which means D is somewhere in this quadrant. They're not saying it's a bisector, so we'll just sort of draw D for the moment in some kind of random location. But then if we read further, we're finding that the measure of angle DMX is 40 degrees. So where is angle DMX? Well, D is there, M is there, and X is over there. So if we're going to make an angle out of this, we've got to have a line that's going through D and M, right? So let's go ahead and draw that line. So when you see they're talking about an angle, they're implying that there's got to be a side for this angle. Okay, so if the angle is DMX, we've got to draw in that side DM. Now we're told that the measure of angle DMX is 40 degrees. So let's write 40 degrees in here. And now we're reaching the problems and the things we need to try to discover. Find the measure of angle AMB. Don't know that yet. Find the measure of angle AMD. And finally, find the measure of angle CMB. Okay, so let's see what we can figure out. AMB, what angle is that? Let's see. A, M, and B. Well, those are 3 collinear points, right? A and B are 3 collinear points. They're a straight angle. And what's the degree measure of a straight angle? Be 180 degrees. So make that just a little bit neater. Okay, so A and B equals 180 degrees. We've got our first answer. AMD. Okay, so let's look and try to identify AMD on this figure here. We've got A here. We've got M over here at the intersection, and then we've got D up here. So this is the angle right here that we need to figure out. What is this angle? Well, remember that there's a right angle over here, that XY is perpendicular to AB, and therefore this quadrant, this angle XMA, is 90 degrees. Well, that angle XMA is equal to this angle here, which is XMD, plus the unknown angle DMA, or AMD. So we've got the equation, the measure of angle AMD plus the measure of angle DMX is equal to a right angle, which is 90 degrees. That's another way of saying that these two angles are complementary angles, right? They add up to 90 degrees. So we know the measure of DMX, it's 40, and we need to solve for the measure of angle AMD. Well, now it's not so hard, right? We can subtract 40 from both sides, and we get as an answer the measure of angle AMD is equal to 50 degrees. Okay, so that is our second answer here. 50 degrees. Okay, that leaves only one more angle to be found, and that is the angle CMB. So let's draw in angle CMB so we're sure we know what we're talking about. C is here, M is here, and B is over here. So we're talking about the angle that stretches from here to there. Okay, that is the final angle we have to figure out. And it's going to take us a little bit of work to figure this one out. So it looks like at first we've got three angles that we've got to add up. So let's say we start thinking about it that way. We've got this angle plus this angle plus this angle. Okay, that's one way to look at it. Another thing we could notice is that we already know the degree measure of this angle. This angle, I'll draw it with a larger drawing there. This angle is 45 degrees. And it may be a little complicated to figure out what this angle is and what this angle is. We can do it. It wouldn't take that long to do it. But I think it's a little bit more interesting and easier to notice that the sum of these two angles is simply this angle here, which is the entire 90-degree angle. Okay, so CMB is actually 45 degrees, which is this angle here, plus this entire angle here, which is 90 degrees. So the measure of angle CMB is equal to the measure of angle CMY plus the measure of angle YMB. But CMY we just said is 45 degrees, and YMB we just said is 90 degrees. So the measure of angle CMB is equal to 45 degrees plus 90 degrees, or the measure of angle CMB is equal to 135 degrees. So that gives us our third and final answer, 135 degrees. And that is the solution to question number 5.